show them the money. Have you heard what's been going on with the government? This story is not believable, but I can promise you it is sadly true. What's happening is that the Pentagon, the government, our government, is trying to collect from veterans, you know, the guys and girls who sacrificed their lives or put their lives at risk for our country. Well, the government is going after them for money to repay the bonuses, the reenlistment bonuses that they got years ago. Let me tell you the story. And yes, this is happening in California right now, but hey, no state is free of this risk. I'm sure they're probably already looking into other states as well. But what happened was in 2007 to 2009, when there was a lack of boots on the ground, of people in the military, especially people with special skills, the government bribed veterans who had already done tours of duty to reenlist. And they bribed them by offering bonuses typically of $15,000 to $20,000, but some of them went as high as $60,000, depending upon what skills you had that the government wanted. Well, in 2010, the federal government did an investigation and realized that maybe some of these veterans didn't meet the criteria to get these bonuses. Either they didn't have the skills or the California Coast Guard office that gave them to them. There was some kind of problem, but it was with the people who gave them the money, not with the veterans themselves, although they're trying to say that some of the veterans knew that they didn't deserve it. But in any case, then in 2012, letters went out to all these veterans. It's between 10,000 and 14,000 veterans. The numbers have kind of been vague and changing depending upon who you ask, but it's in that area. So letters went out asking these people to return the money. I mean, really? The government isn't going to be able to return the years that these veterans spent putting their life in danger in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they're supposed to return the money. And in fact, someone who received, for example, $15,000 and who was taxed on that, so they really received only $11,000, the government is asking them to pay back the whole $15,000. I mean, you know, is this really a democracy? Some of the things that are going on in this country, and this is a great example, are very scary. You wouldn't have thought when you were growing up and you were learning about history and social studies and all these and government and all these things, would you have ever believed that the United States government would ask veterans who put their lives on the line to send back money like $15,000 to $20,000? Is their life not worth more than $15,000 to $20,000? Now, I'll admit, there is no way that anyone could get me to go to the front lines for $15,000, $20,000, $60,000, any amount. I think these people deserve the utmost respect for their bravery. I mean, what would I do on the front lines without a Starbucks and without a Victoria's Secret? I mean, this would be really a problem. Seriously, this is a terrible tragedy. Now, what's happened recently is that Defense Secretary Ash Carter said finally that this current program of asking for reimbursement, giving the money back to the government, is unacceptable. So he said that there should be a suspension of this collection. He didn't say that it should stop, that the government should send all these veterans letters of apology and refund the money. He said that there should be a suspension while there's more investigation. They're trying to figure out which people deserve the money. They all deserved it, in my opinion. They all went there. They all put in the years, and many of them put in more years than the bonus was supposed to cover. So he's saying that that there should be more of an investigation, and he's saying that they should look at 100 cases a day. The numbers actually, there are 10,000 to 14,000 veterans who are involved in this, potentially being asked to send back the money. 4,000 of them so far approximately have been cleared as properly eligible. There are 1,200 cases that have been identified so far as possible fraud. And so all the rest are still, up for grabs. Literally, the government wants to grab their money. Now think about it. These veterans come back and many of them have PTSD. In any case, they find it hard to get a job, and we know that. We've been hearing reports about that for years, how hard the veterans have it. And what about the 22 a day, the number that's given for how many commit suicide each day? What do you think, getting a letter from the government years later, after you accepted the bonus, after this bribed you to go back to the front line, although certainly many of them didn't need bribes. I mean, they were dedicated to protecting our country. But, all these years later, they get this letter. Do you think that added to their stress? How many of them do you think might have committed suicide because they don't have the money and the government is really harassing them to give it back? I mean, they're not just sending one letter and saying, well, when you get around to it, send us the money. They're harassing them. They're on their back. They've ruined their credit scores. I mean, that's adding to all of these problems. So my solution for the whole thing is that besides sending the veterans flowers and stopping the letters, forgiving the debt, and, well, it isn't even really a debt, but forgiving the bonuses, sending back the bonuses, and sending them flowers, and sending them a letter of apology, and thanking them for their service, I think that the people at the California Coast Guard who gave them, mistakenly in some cases perhaps, gave them the reenlistment bonuses, they're the ones who should now be the boots on the ground and go to war.